Good morning and welcome to our 235th weekly webcast. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. So the way this call works is this is an AMA, like what you see on Reddit. Ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, career questions, personal questions, anything. And my humble goal is to help you take your career, your investment portfolio, your company, etc., to the next level. So without further ado, let's begin. One housekeeping announcement. So next week is the last weekly webcast we're going to have until the end of July, because I'm going to Rwanda to check out the school that we built. And during the last week of July, I'm going to be doing the webcast live from the school we built in Rwanda with tons of students and everything. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Vital, who's one of my best friends, is going to be there on the call as well. So check it out. Should be fun. All right. First up, I have got Ryan, who wrote, "Hey Chris, hey man, what do you think of the Shiller CAPE ratio as a predictor of future stock returns? As always, thanks for the teaching that you do." Thanks so much. Okay, yeah. So Shiller, that refers to Robert Shiller, who's an economist, and so his valuation methodology is such that you take the S&P 500 and you look at the 10-year historical earnings adjusted for inflation. And then what you do, according to his methodology, is you apply a price to earnings ratio based on that. Now, I'm not a fan of that approach, and to each their own, because it's looking backwards. When I analyze companies, I like to look forwards. I love to analyze companies and value companies based on my earnings estimates in 5 or 10 years. Never what's happened before. I always focus on the future. And the difference between finance and accounting is like a science. You focus on the past. You got to be precise. Finance is like an art. You have to deal with uncertainty and project the future. So I always focus on valuing companies based on my earnings estimates in 5 or 10 years. Don't ever value a company based on this year's earnings or last year's earnings. I want you to create a financial model and forecast what earnings will be in 5 or 10 years, and then put on your PE multiple based on that earnings estimate of yours in 5 or 10 years. And in my MBA degree program, that's what I teach you. And one of the many templates or tools in my MBA degree program is this 100-step spreadsheet here that you can use to analyze any company. And for each one of these steps here, there's 100 steps. There's a YouTube video down here you can click on to find out more details on that step. And there's 3 outputs that comes out of this report. Number 1 is a 150-page due diligence report that analyzes fundamentals, valuation, and technical analysis in that order. Number 2 is a 1-page executive summary that you can print out and put on the back of your resume if you have informational meetings. And 3rd, as my son Andrew used to say, he's so cute, he's getting older now, man, he's 19. 3rd, there's also a dashboard based on what you enter into this spreadsheet that will give you tons of different charts like this. Now, what I do is I value companies 3 different ways, using an income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement forecast. And the valuation methodology that I use is I find a blended average of 3 different target prices. One uses PE, one uses price to revenue, and the other uses DCF, or discounted cash flow. And the reason I do that, and this is just dummy data here, is because one of the 3 valuation methodologies is going to be wrong. And you want to minimize the error. You don't know which approach is going to be wrong, probably DCF, because there's too many unknown variables in it. But my favorite one is always PE. The bottom line is forecast earnings 5 or 10 years in the future, value your company based on a PE multiple in 5 or 10 years. And if you do that, what you can do is you don't have to worry about volatility. You can tell yourself, I don't know the path, but I know the destination of the stock. And I want you to always do your own due diligence and don't rely on me or anybody else in terms of what to buy or not. Otherwise, what will happen is, as Warren Buffett said, the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. You'll panic at the worst time. Okay. All right, next up, I have got Prashant. Hey, Prashant, one of my wonderful students, my Silver MBA program, who wrote, "Hope all is well at year-end. Greetings from India. Always good to see you. You warm my heart." Thank you. And then Prashant wrote, "I need an understanding on how international funds are transferred as a source of investment in a company. Is it via a bank guarantee or direct transfer to an account that will attract huge taxes as well? It all depends, and I hate answering a question with that, but it depends on what the tax regulations are. So a lot of US companies have billions of dollars overseas, and they don't bring it back because they don't want to pay taxes on it. But every 5 or 10 years, a new government administration in the United States will say, hey, you can bring back or repatriate your profits tax-free or at a lower tax rate. So it all depends on government regulation. Yeah. And in terms of wiring, they usually use SWIFT accounts, etc. Yeah. All right. Next up, Yolanda, how are you? From Texas, I believe. You were in my MBA program, platinum student of mine in 2019. It's been a while. I hope you're doing well. You wrote, hi, Chris. Hope things are going well on your end. Likewise. I currently work for an artificial intelligence firm. What are your thoughts on responsible AI? Yeah. And so for all students in my MBA degree program, I'm adding the complete artificial intelligence elective to your curriculum within the next month or so. And I partnered with one of my wonderful platinum students named Luca Anderson. And Luca flew to my studio here to record this course. And this book is only available in that course. And Luca, I got to do it, man. His name is Luca Anderson. So of course I got this prop for the course we made because Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker. No, okay, sorry. But in terms of responsible AI, as Warren Buffett said, another Warren Buffett quote today, once you open up Pandora's box with AI, there's no going back. So we got to be really careful. And I think what's going to happen from a responsible AI perspective is every major government and corporation is going to have their own department of AI ethics just to keep AI in check. Because we've all seen all those horror movies like 2001: A Space Odyssey or Terminator, and we've seen what could happen. I know it's extreme, but we got to be careful. What could happen if AI gets out of hand? And ChatGPT being released by OpenAI last November 2022 was the equivalent milestone as when the internet was first invented, or in January 2007 when Steve Jobs announced the iPhone. And all the venture capital firms in the Bay Area here where I live, they're scouring to try to find AI investments. Again, the complete artificial intelligence elective will be added to my MBA program within a month or so, and everybody that's already signed up for my MBA or will sign up for my MBA gets it for free. Should be fun. Okay. Next up, Prashant wrote, I request you to please explain price to revenue and how and where to find out the average in a particular sector trades at with respect to what you mentioned in Finance and Accounting Semester 1, Class 8, Intro to Modeling. Yeah. So there's three ways to value companies, as I mentioned earlier. There's price to earnings, there's price to revenue, and there's discounted cash flow. You use price to revenue, especially if a company is not yet profitable. Okay, so the way to calculate the price to revenue for a given stock is to look at what the sector is trading at. And it all depends on what point we are in the economic cycle and how the market is doing. For example, back in the summer of 2012, there were 3 cloud software companies that went public, and I participated in all 3 of these IPOs. One was ServiceNow, ticker NOW. The other was Workday, ticker WDAY. And the other one was Splunk, ticker SPLK. And at that point in time, those companies really didn't have much in terms of earnings. And the going rate for those aforementioned 3 cloud software companies at that point in time, the going valuation on a price to revenue basis, was between 15 and 20 times revenue. And they all had similar growth profiles. So you have to look at the sector as well in order to understand how to value these companies. And you can always go to Yahoo Finance to find out about that. Now, when it comes to more cyclical companies like Intel, and this is a chip from 1995, I did a case study of my MBA program on this. When it comes to more cyclical companies like semiconductor stocks or machinery equipment like Caterpillar, ticker CAT, what happens is they can lose a ton of money during recessions. And so during recessions, their earnings are negative. So PE doesn't make sense to look at. In that case, with these cyclical companies, you can value them based on price to revenue. And one of my good friends, who is probably the best tech investor I ever met, his name is Carl Kraker. He worked at Citadel, and he recently launched his own fund called Woodbine. He's got like $1 or $2 billion. He told me that when he looks, and this is before, I think he might still do this, I don't know. But when he looks at valuing semiconductor companies during recessions, he looks at EV to revenue or price to revenue. and they all tend to trough at the same level as well. The bottom line is you look at price to revenue when companies are not profitable because they're new emerging companies. They might have just gone public, or if they're cyclical. Okay. All right. Next up, I'm in a good mood today, man. I got up like 5 hours ago to edit this complete artificial intelligence course. I'm so excited to release it for you guys. Yeah. All right. Next question I've got is Kevin wrote, good morning from Lakeland, Florida. Always good to see you, Kevin. My parents live half the year in Florida. They're snowbirds. Mirna, who's one of my new platinum students, actually, my MBA program I just launched recently, wrote, hi, Chris. Greetings from Baltimore, but originally from Brazil. Always good to see you. Moving on to Shivant, who wrote, hey, Chris, I'm Indian, but I want to go to work in Japan as a recent graduate. What should I do to apply for a master's or directly apply for jobs in advance? Yeah, great question. So if you want to work in another country, the best way to do it is to join a company that's from that country in your country. I'll give you an example. So let's say you want to work in Japan. You can join one of the Hitachi divisions in India, and Hitachi is basically 4% of Japan's GDP. It's a massive company, conglomerate. And what you can do at Hitachi in India, for example, is work very hard for 5 or 10 years, and you'll get promoted multiple times. And then at some point, what's going to happen is in order to make vice president or more senior level, they might call you and say, can you come to the mothership, meaning the corporate headquarters in Tokyo, in Japan, for Hitachi? So that's the best way to do it longer term, so to speak. Of course, you can also go to universities as well and get student visas. But if your long-term goal is to work in another country, I recommend climbing the corporate ladder domestically in a company that's domiciled in another country, and eventually you'll get that call to get promoted to the mothership. Okay. Next up, we got Amelia, who wrote, hi, Chris, please give me your opinion on the property market, and is it worth it to try and get into the rental income market in Canada or the United States? Yeah, as long as it's not in a big city. I think that big city real estate is in secular decline. And I think you're going to see a lot of defaults on bonds later this year and next year with commercial real estate, especially in big cities. And the reason I say this is because one thing that the pandemic taught us is that we can all work remotely. And if the internet was invented first, would we still have big cities and tall office buildings? Probably not as many. Because it's ludicrous to spend an hour or two every day driving, destroying the environment, and hurting your family life and your health as well, commuting to a city to go into an office tower for meetings. It just doesn't make any sense. So I think that farmland is actually one of the best investments you can make. And I've been buying farmland over the past couple of years in Texas. And when you buy land in Texas, what you can do is you can give up the mineral rights. Right? So if oil is discovered on the land that I own down there, I won't get that, but I do own the property. Now, in terms of the rental income market, I'm active in that market too. I bought houses and buildings close to universities in Canada. For example, in London, Ontario, where I was born, and London, England was named after London, Ontario, you know that, right? But London, Ontario, where I was born, there's the University of Western. And so I bought a couple of buildings there, and I'm renting it out to students. Because, universities are somewhat recession proof. Now, if you do this, and what I did was you have to make sure that the monthly mortgage that people are going to be paying to rent is obviously more, or the monthly rent they're paying is obviously more than the mortgage you have. Last thing I'll say on that topic is this. When you look to buy a house for yourself, what I recommend doing is see if there's an extra room attached to the outside that you can rent out through Airbnb. And if you do that, that might cover your mortgage. You have to check to see if, from the municipality legal perspective, if you can do that. In this room here, I live in a place called Hillsborough, California. This room here, when I first moved in, this room here was an Airbnb room, which covered my entire mortgage, which is awesome. Yeah. So there's creative ways you can look at doing this as well. Just make sure that you're allowed to rent the place out over Airbnb where you live. Okay. All right. Next up, Eric wrote, thank you for having these, Chris. You're most welcome. Good to see you, Eric. You wrote, I just started, so I'll bring some questions soon. Awesome, Eric. And first time I've seen you, Eric Hana, I'll remember your name. I hope you join us again. Thank you. HANA is also the name of SAP's old infrastructure product. Yeah. Gary, how are you? Gary's one of my MBA students. He started last year. Great guy. He lives in Georgia, and he's a former investment banker. He worked at I think, Bank of New York years ago. Good dude. And he spent time in China, and he's a wonderful teacher, and he's mentoring my other students as well. Gary, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for mentoring my students and helping. You're a good dude. So Gary wrote, good morning, Chris. Good morning, buddy. What are your thoughts about the systemic risk of the U.S. Banking system? Yeah. So, I'm more comfortable recommending that my students open bank accounts in big banks, okay? Especially if you're going to start your own company, because these big banks are going to be too big to fail, right? So if you're just starting a company, I would probably use Citibank, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, etc. I am very worried about regional banks. And what happened with Silicon Valley Bank is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, I don't want to spread fear and doom, but the problem is, and I had an amazing economist named Mahmoud on this call several months ago. And he said the problem with regional banks, and one of the reasons why SVB went under so fast, is because in the past, if you wanted to take your money out, you would have to line up at a bank, and there'd be lineups around for a couple of blocks in 2008 in New York. I remember that well. But now you can use your iPhone or Android handset and withdraw quickly. So runs on the banks, especially mid-cap banks, can be extreme. Little side note, in 2008, there was a lot of corrupt hedge funds that were short a lot of regional banks. And what some of them did, apparently, according to people familiar with the matter, is they hired actors to line up at banks. Yeah, but I am worried about systemic risk when it comes to mid caps. Yeah, but I do think that the Department of the Treasury of the United States will backstop these banks. Yeah. Okay. All right, next question is from Will. Hey, Will. Will wrote, how is the housing market doing in 2023? It all depends. If it's big city based, not so well. If it's more regional, a bit better. So where I live right now, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. There's no way I would ever want to buy real estate in San Francisco for so many reasons. Number one, cities are in secular decline. And number two, the city is incredibly mismanaged. Yeah, it's dangerous. Yeah. And I do love the city, but not as much as I used to. Okay. All right. But it's all based on location, right? So I recommend using Zillow if you can. And in this artificial intelligence course that's coming out soon as part of the an elective for my MBA degree program, we're going to teach you how to use plugins with ChatGPT. And one of the plugins you can use is Zillow. So you can go into ChatGPT 4, add the Zillow plugin, and type this. What are undervalued houses in this zip code? And it will come up with a table for you and show you which ones may be undervalued. Of course, you have to fact check and back and look into the data closely, because there are a lot of mistakes with ChatGPT. Yeah. All right. Next up, 2020 wrote, hey, Chris, I just signed up for one of your Udemy courses. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. And then we got Boluwatife wrote, hey, Chris, how are you? Great to see you. First time I've seen you on the call. I hope you join us again. Moving on to Manas from India. How are you? Manas wrote, good morning, my dear mentor. Chris, please. How are you doing, and how's everybody doing? Did you know you can actually buy dosa batter and create wonderful dosa at home in case you want to have it at midnight? I love dosa. For my 50th birthday, I went out with my kids and Christine. My wife said, what do you want to do? I said, I just want family, and we're just going to my favorite Indian restaurant, and I ate dosa. I love dosa. And for those of you who haven't tried dosa before, you haven't lived until you tried dosa. It's the best. Okay, next up, Boluwatife wrote, I would love to learn more about Project Magu business plan if it's currently available publicly right now. We don't have anything publicly available. Now, it's a registered charity, and Vital owns a charity, not me, and he registered in Germany where he's currently living. But if you want to learn more about Project Magu, just go to my website and then just click on this link here, Project Magu, to learn more. And there's some pictures here. And I got to put up more images too. This summer 2021, we went there to do the first dig. And then and there's my son, Andrew, right here. And here's Vital. And again, I'm going this summer in a couple of weeks, and I'll do this weekly webcast from Rwanda. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Chibike wrote, hey, boss, Chris, please. I'm from Nigeria, and unfortunately, it's a low trust society. Yeah. Okay. And then you wrote, do you have any suggestions or tactics to do business in a low trust environment? Oh, I would just say contracts. Make sure you get lawyers involved with all contracts. And before anybody joins a startup company, I don't care what country people are in, I want you to hire a lawyer to read the offering memorandum that you receive or your employment contract. It's important. And you can always go to LegalZoom.com to look up how to do that. And I did that years ago when I worked in venture capital. Thank God I did, because the lawyer uncovered one line item that said, if we have an exit, meaning if we harvest an investment, a company goes public, I will get paid, but it didn't say when. So it could be 100 years from now. And that cost me $7,000 to hire a lawyer to do that. I felt I was getting ripped off, but it was a great investment in hindsight. Yeah. Get lawyers involved. Yeah. Okay. Oh my God, Kendall, how are you? Kendall finished my Platinum MBA a couple of weeks ago. You wrote, I miss you, Chris. I miss you more. Kendall is based in Texas, and her wonderful daughter is one of my interns right now as well. Actually, my only intern. Great to see you. Okay, next up we got Chibike who wrote, my second question is there anything option strategy like, meaning laddering options, the same way we can ladder bonds, etc.? Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, sorry. But if you're in my MBA degree program, you can go to the fourth semester, and in the finance classes in FA 4.4, Finance and Accounting Semester 4, Class 4, there's a 30-hour options elective. Yeah. Okay, moving on to Ralph. Hey, Ralph. Ralph wrote, hey, Chris, can you do an income statement with no income or customers? Yeah. If you're going to do that, what you have to do is, obviously, you're not going to have revenue at first. You'll calculate all the expense line items. And whatever your loss is in the first couple of years before you generate a profit, that's your use of proceeds when you approach venture capital firms or high net worth investors with your pitch to raise capital. Yeah. That's why you always value companies based on earnings estimates many years into the future. Yeah. Or you can use a price to revenue once you have revenue, but there's no earnings. Yeah. Okay. And failing to plan is planning to fail. You got to write a business plan first, always before you start a company, or it can ruin your life. Yeah. If you launch a company without doing a business plan first, you can go bankrupt. It can destroy your health, your wealth, your relationships with others. And in my MBA program, in the third semester, I have a venture capital boot camp where I help you write a business plan. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Liesel wrote, hey, Chris, I'm the founder of a startup, and I wanted to get an advisory panel set up, as you suggest. How do I approach potential advisors, not for their financial investment? How does that work? Yeah. So it's a big misconception that people think that board members in private companies get paid. Most of the time they don't. And it's easy for you to get board members or board advisors. All you have to do is set up mini informational meetings with people that have something in common with you, leveraging LinkedIn, and get to know them first. And then during that first informational meeting, after 10 minutes of you bonding with them, they'll say, why are we meeting? And then you could mention your company, and you'd love to ask them for advice every now and then, ask them just to be an advisor. And most people will say yes. And in the first semester of my MBA degree program, what I do is I teach you how to network on steroids. Yeah. Because your network is your net worth. And relationships are always more important than product knowledge. Next up, oh my gosh, Bavik, how are you? Bavik is from Mississauga. I met him in person, actually, here back in 2021 for my MBA graduation. Great, and you gave a great impromptu speech. It was impressive. Everybody was blown away. Bavik, it's great to see you, man. And I hope your father's doing well back in India as well. And how are you? I'm always great. I'm better now that I see you. Thank you. That I see you here. All right, next up, we got Dee. Good morning. How are you? And then Pearl, who's, I think, one of my silver MBA students, wrote, hey, Chris, congratulations on your 235th webcast. Always fun times to be on the call. Thank you. And it's always great to have you as well. I can't believe this August, it's going to be 5 years that I've been doing this weekly webcast. And one thing I'm very proud of is I have not sold out. I have not taken any sponsors. I am true and pure to my students who are my only customers. Yeah. Okay. I should probably do something special for the 5th year anniversary. Yeah. Okay. I'm using a straw with my coffee because I'm trying to get whiter teeth. Yeah. It's my dentist. Okay. And then Pearl wrote, looking forward to that AI class. Yeah. I can't wait to show you. I'm having so much fun making it. Yeah. Okay. Shib wrote, thank you very much. You're most welcome. Moving on to Pearl, who wrote, I'm done with the silver MBA. Will I be able to join gold or platinum in the future? Your wisdom is gold. Thank you for that. No, I appreciate that. Yeah. So I'm not going to be doing another gold or platinum session this year because I'm focused entirely on creating AI content. Okay, so I'm going all deep into tech. But if you're curious, what you can do is go to harounmba.com and then go to MBA degree FAQs. Okay, and because you're in silver, you'll get a discount on the next gold or platinum class. But the next class is going to launch. It's probably going to be next year, at some point next year. So keep hitting refresh here on this page. I'll launch all the details here. Yeah. Okay. And what I'm doing actually, so the MBA degree program that I have right now, there's 6 pillars. Now I started out with 5 pillars. And the 5 pillars, and I'll talk about the 6th one in a second, which is what I'm working on this year. Pillar number 1 is entrepreneurship. Okay. Pillar number 2 is finance and accounting. Pillar number 3 is economics management and strategy. Pillar number 4 is sales, marketing, communication. Pillar number 5 is personal growth, where I teach you how to accomplish a lot more in network, etc. Pillar number 6, right here, and this is fake gold. Pillar number 6 is technology. And I'm going deep into tech, especially this year. I've already released a couple of courses for all of my students in my MBA program that are tech related. And what I'm doing is I'm teaching you guys how to program, and I use a lot of props as well. So I used to be a programmer back in the 90s when I worked at Accenture. And if you meet me in real life, Pearl, I'm a tiny man. I'm really small. But what I've done is I added an Excel course that teaches you how to program, and I'm adding Python next. And I'm starting to work on that and record it this fall along with Luca Anderson. I'm partnering with him as well. He is brilliant. Google called Luca one of 120 or so top machine learning AI experts in the world. Yeah. Okay. Let me get these out of the way. And I love teaching with props. And when you guys give presentations, you got to use props as well. And when I was younger, I don't remember what the teacher said in school, but I always remember the props that my buddies brought in for show and tell. Okay. Okay, moving on to Amelia, who wrote, hey, Chris, thank you very much for your opinion on rental income. You're most welcome. You've given us lots of information. Blessings from South Africa. I'm doing your Udemy courses. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Next up, we got Caroline, who's from France but lives in Ontario, Canada now, who's in my silver program. You wrote, good morning, Chris. And you wrote, see you in the silver hour. Awesome. Thank you. Likewise. Now, every week at 10 a.m., what I do after this call is done, meaning in an hour and a half, I do a 1-hour Zoom call with just my silver students. And so if you're a silver MBA student of mine, just go to the first lecture and you'll find the link there. Yeah. Looking forward to catching up. Next up, we got Manas, who wrote, I came across a video editing AI that can do 10,000 worth of work for only 12 bucks. Is it weird because skills-based jobs are going out of hands quickly? And also, I'd always take an AI over people. Yeah. Yeah. So I wouldn't worry. Like, a lot of people are worried that AI is going to take all jobs away. I think it's just going to take away repetitive operational based jobs so that we can focus more on innovation. We're spending time with our families, etc. And every new technology strategic shift in the marketplace, has been fraught with people worried about unemployment. People were worried when Google was first released, especially teachers back in '99. Teachers and others were worried when Wikipedia was released. People were worried when the Industrial Revolution started hundreds of years ago. People were worried back in the 80s with just-in-time auto manufacturing and robots. But it doesn't matter because we all retrain anyway. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up, Dan wrote, hey, Chris, I tried Pepsi Nitro, and it tasted like flat Pepsi. I can't follow you on that beverage choice. Okay, thank you. And Well, last week, what I did to start off the call was I opened up a Pepsi Nitro. I was talking about marketing. And this is like Guinness beer. It's non-alcoholic, though. But when you pour it, what you have to do, though, and what they say is you got to pour it hard, right? You got to turn it upside down so that there's tons of froth and bubbles. And so maybe that's why, I don't know. But sorry on my drinking recommendation. I don't drink anymore, but I don't drink any less either. Okay. Okay. Moving on to Manas Roads. Humans not trying to be insensitive, but one would rather spend $10 over $10K for editing hundreds of hours of editing. Yeah. And I'm starting to use AI products as well with editing. It's unbelievable. I can be so much more productive. Now, this entire artificial intelligence elective, it's going to be really, really long. I'm editing the whole thing myself using Final Cut and some AI stuff as well. And I'll show that to you during the course. Yeah. I'm excited about it. Okay. All right. Oh, dude, Luca. Speaking of Luca, Luca is here. How are you, man? Luca, how are you? Dude, I miss you. Now, Luca came to my house, and Luca, I hope you don't mind, I did the Star Wars thing again here. Luca came to my house, and when we recorded the course here, I had to step on a stepping stool because Luca is like 6'1". He's really, really tall. So I had to step, so I'm about 6 feet. But he's really tall. But I miss you. My family loved you as well, and it was great to see you. And thanks so much for sending me that update this morning. I've already incorporated it in the section 2, lecture 4 with editing. Thank you. Great to see you. Okay. Next up, Moises wrote, "Hey Chris, thanks for all the valuable knowledge. You're most welcome. Have you considered a digital transformation course? By the way, I can't wait for the AI course." Thank you. Yeah. Well, as part of this AI course that Luca and I are working on, there's a lot of stuff about digital transformation as well, and leveraging AI to take your company to the next level. We talk about every single industry as well, and how AI is going to improve every industry. And we talk about the challenges as well. So it's a very comprehensive course. Part of it is technical, part of it is not. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up, I've got Ralph who wrote, "Hey Chris, hey, I'm a solar founder, a solopreneur, sure, looking to build my team. How can I build my team now without any funding or revenue, or should I just wait?" Yeah. So what I would do, and what I've done, I don't have any full-time employees. I've been running this company since 2016. I use a lot of process automation. I use a lot of website plugins as well, so I don't have to hire people. What I also do is I use contractors. So I would use contractors if you can, and only focus on skill X, meaning the purpose of your company, and outsource everything else if you can, especially accounting. Don't do your own accounting. Yeah. You don't need to have a big team. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Prashant wrote, "Chris, if company A is 15 times earnings, PE, and it buys company B at 30 times PE, this will dilute the earnings of company A. If you could explain this." Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when one company that's cheap buys another company that's expensive, it dilutes earnings, right? So price divided by earnings. So if the price, the PE multiple, is higher and the earnings are lower on the denominator, it's just mathematics. It means it's going to dilute earnings. Now, when a company buys another company and it's a cheaper company and it helps their valuation go down, that's called an accretive acquisition. And a lot of times big companies will make acquisitions. They'll buy companies that seem expensive, but it helps their earnings and their PE go down. For example, Coca-Cola, ticker KO, they bought Dasani water. Okay. And Dasani water was likely much more expensive on a PE basis, right, than Coca-Cola was. But it was accretive to Coca-Cola's earnings because Coca-Cola has distribution channels all over the world to sell any beverage. And so they could throw Dasani water into that distribution channel and sell it and actually turn a profit to the extent that the PE multiple of Coke did not go up. It went down. And the same thing with Hewlett-Packard. Hewlett-Packard at one point was the 5th biggest software company in the world. And we used to say HP is where software companies go to die. I used to short HP a lot. But what HP would do is HP, which had 60% of its revenue overseas, HP would buy domestic software companies in the United States that have very high PEs, and it would actually make HP's valuation go down because HP was able to sell the domestic product all over the world. Most of the software companies they bought, HP, American software companies, only sold in the United States. Okay. All right. And then Bhavik from Mississauga through India wrote, hey, Chris, with the help of the MBA knowledge, and Bhavik graduated a couple of years ago, with the help of the MBA knowledge, I was able to get into cybersecurity consulting now, and I'm helping small and medium-sized businesses design their security postures. Thanks to you for teaching. I'm working with clients. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That's. I don't think I had anything to do with it. You're incredibly well-spoken. Always good to see you. Okay. All right. And then Pearl wrote here, I got to tell you that programming, the programming course is on steroids. Okay, the Excel one. Thank you. You gave us so many frameworks to succeed in life, and I can't stop saying thanks. And thank you so much. I appreciate all the comments as well. It means a lot. It means a lot. Okay, and if anybody has more questions, please type them now. Now, one thing that I'm going to be releasing in the next week or two is my Super Bowl commercial. What that means is this. So I partnered with a guy named Adad Warda, and Adad has created 10 of my promotional trailers in the past, and we recorded a lot of them over in the Czech Republic. But we recorded an insanely great commercial. I call it the Super Bowl commercial because it's expensive, and also I rented a bunch of Hollywood studios in Southern California. I rented the studio where American Sniper was made. As part of the trailer is based on Babylon 5,000 years ago, and I can't wait to show it to you guys during the next couple of weeks to start off my weekly webcast. I'll debut that video as well. It's going to be epic. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. Okay. And next up, Mark wrote, "Hi, Chris and Luca. Looking forward to the new AI class." Awesome. Luca, if you're on the call right now, do you want to come on Zoom and answer questions? Let me know right here. I don't know if you're here. Just say yes if you can, if you're still on the call. But I'd love to bring you on to answer questions about AI. You were so amazing when I had you on my call in my office here last month. Yeah, I'll leave it up to you. Just say yes or no here. It's cool. Or yeah. All right. Next up, Life Parameters wrote, I'm a tailor based in Nigeria, and lately I've been very interested into shifting into technology. Please, what process would you advise I take, as I'm scared of not being able to provide for myself if I jump? Yeah, it's really easy to do. What I recommend that you do is you take courses by Angela Yu. Now, Angela Yu is the best teacher on the internet, actually second to Luca. And I've met her in person before. I met her in Berlin a couple of years ago. She's wonderful. And so Angela Yu, she's a medical doctor. She liked medicine, but she's more passionate about teaching. So she teaches. She has a British accent, which means she speaks gooder than I do. But I'm going to show you her courses here. Okay. So just do a search for Udemy, Angela Yu. Here she is here. She is awesome. Okay. Dr. Angela Yu. Yeah. She is the best teacher on the planet. She's after Luca. She's amazing. Look at her ratings, unbelievable. But what I recommend that you start doing is you start off with her Python course, and then do the web development one as well, and then do the iOS one as well. So do these three right here, and whatever doesn't feel like work to you, whether you're most passionate about, that's the programming language you should try to turn into a career. And look at the price too. For next to nothing, you can learn a ton about that stuff, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee as well. I don't get any kickbacks by mentioning that stuff. Udemy is an algorithm, and if my courses suck, and a lot of them do, they won't sell. Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, and after you take the courses by Angela, then what you can do is you can go to Upwork.com, and you can create your own portfolio of sample projects, so that you can make money on the side as a side hustle. Yeah. Okay. All right, and then Luca wrote, "Too kind, but Angela Yu is amazing. Yeah, she's great. She's incredible. I did a Zoom call with her not too long ago. She's the real deal. Yeah, she is awesome." Okay, let's see what I got here. Next up, Manos wrote, "Actually, one can create an avatar of you and pay $10 to make the avatar say anything related to MBA or anything. Isn't that scary? And it doesn't look like AI, but it's awesome and terrible at the same time." Yeah. And actually what Luca and I did in my course, which is coming out soon, what we did is we actually did an analysis of that. So there's a website, and Luca, let me know what the website is. I can't remember it right now. The older I get, the better I was. But there's a website we went to, an AI website, where it asked me to record 25 sentences, right? And so I just read 25 sentences. And then Luca typed some text, and it spoke exactly like I would. Yeah. Without the bad dad humor. Yeah. Okay. Next up, we got Amelia, who wrote, "Hi, Chris. What is the difference between the courses I'm doing on Udemy and the ones you're talking about on your website? Is there credit for Udemy on those courses? It sounds much more comprehensive." Yeah. So my single courses that I have on my website are the same ones as Udemy. But my MBA degree program, the Silver, Gold, Platinum, is just on my website. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Luca said, I've got a headache. I hope you feel better, man. I would love to have you on Zoom, but that totally cool. Totally cool. Yeah. Feel better, brother. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then, that's okay. So Luca said that the voice-based website is Resemble AI. Yeah. So let's go there right now, and I'll show you. This is unbelievable. So go to resemble.ai. I'll just type it in here. Resemble AI. Here it is right here. Yeah, it's unbelievable. So we actually did this, and it sounds just like me. And I can't remember, Luca, if you signed in with your account or mine. I think it might have been mine. Oh, here it is. Here, let's try it out, man. All right, here we go. New clip, Chris's voice, and let's see if we can play this. This will be fun. Okay, hold on. Play. Hold on 1 second. No content to generate. All right. I'll write here. My name is Chris. I wanted to pronounce it correctly, so I'll write it like that. And I teach. Let's see how that works. All right. Play. This is why I'm teaching the course. My name is Chris Haroun, and I teach. There you go. It worked. Okay, good. Good. All right, let's try another one here. Those who can't do, teach. And those who can't teach gym class. I suck at sports, so my students won't learn. I love teachers. Okay, here we go. Those who can't do, teach, and those who can't teach gym class. I suck at sport, so my students won't learn. That's pretty good, huh? It sounds like me. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Well, Luca, thank you for reminding me of that website. And also, Manos, thank you for the question as well. Yeah. I'm kidding about teachers. Teachers are great. Yeah. All right. Next up, Moises wrote, Chris, I was wondering, in your opinion, what are the main challenges or hurdles that individuals face when entering the cryptocurrency market, and how can they overcome them? Yeah. So number one, most cryptocurrencies are an absolute scam. I'd say at least 95% are scams. There's a lot of crap out there. One of the problems with cryptocurrencies is that they're not regulated. They're kind of regulated by the laws of mathematics, right? If at all. Now, when you buy a stock, like ticker Meta, for example, it's regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So what you can do is you can go to sec.gov, you type in Meta, the ticker, or whatever ticker, and you can read a prospectus that will list all the risks, okay, with an investment. And that's SEC regulation. Cryptos are not regulated yet, but they will be soon. And so I think what's going to happen, because the FTX scandal last year, I think what will ultimately happen is the SEC is going to regulate cryptos so that whenever cryptos are created, they have to file a government report. Maybe not as comprehensive as this, but something at least, an investment offering memorandum that will list all the risks. And what's happening is the legal precedent right now. It's being set in the Southern District in New York in the court systems where the United States government is suing Ripple, and they're coming after Coinbase as well. But they're coming after Ripple, ticker XRP, because Ripple raised over $1 billion without filing with the SEC. And I think Ripple is going to lose that lawsuit, and that will set a legal precedent. Yeah. And I think within a year or two, the SEC will regulate cryptocurrencies. Yeah. Usually what happens is whenever you have a big financial crisis, regulation comes within a couple of years. You know, it happened post-1929 when the market crashed. By 1933, the SEC was invented. It also happened post the 2008 crisis when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working. There was Congressman Bernard Frank, I think his name was, came up with the legislation. Yeah. So it's coming soon, I promise you. And that's a good thing. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Will typed a question here for Luca, which is, hi, Luca, what are the main differences between ChatGPT, which is made by OpenAI, versus Microsoft's Bing Chat versus Google Bard? And then Luca wrote here, Bing Chat and Google Bard are products created to help us search the internet, where ChatGPT is created to help us with text generation tasks. And from a technology perspective, Google's Bard is built on an algorithm called PALM, created in 2020, and trained on Google's data. It is much more closed and currently in the early days of development. Thank you for that, Luca. Yeah, and Luca actually demoed Bard as well as Bing Chat and in this course that we're going to be releasing. And Luca also included in this course 1,200 prompts that you can use and download for ChatGPT. He wrote them all himself. He's absolutely brilliant. Now, what I remember from Luca teaching me about this stuff is that Google Bard has an incredible interface. It's slick, but it's really not as good as using ChatGPT. Yeah, it's not there yet. In fact, when Google first launched Bard, I think it was back in February of this year, they held an analyst event. And it crashed, and it didn't give the right answers, and Google's market cap crashed that day. Now, Google created the T in ChatGPT years ago. And so we have to ask ourselves, well, why didn't Google deploy their own AI engine years ago? Well, it's the classic innovator's dilemma. If they did it, it would have cannibalized or hurt their own profits. And the reason is, when you create an elaborate AI infrastructure, it can cost literally $100 billion. That's why to use ChatGPT's advanced features, you have to pay for it. So if Google had deployed their own ChatGPT or AI platform years ago, it would have hurt their annual operating profits by literally $30 billion per year. Again, it's a classic innovator's dilemma. Competition is a good thing for the consumer, though. And given the fact that Microsoft's Bing app, it was actually getting more downloads than Google's app, search app, on the Apple Store, Google is kind of terrified now, and they're trying to catch up. Yeah. Okay. And then here, Luca followed up with Bing Chat is built on top of GPT-4 and limited and restricted so that it doesn't go off the rails while searching the internet. Yeah. And one of the great things about Bing Chat, though, unlike using ChatGPT, is that you get automatic resources added. So you don't have to question the data. They have footnotes right there, 4 or 5 of them below the entry you put into Bing Chat. And the problem with ChatGPT in general is that it's confidently wrong. And I say confidently wrong because it gives you a quick answer in beautiful parallel construction, no more than 3 sentences per paragraph. It looks great. But you got to question the data. I've found so many mistakes, and you can't find any sources. But if you use Bing Chat, you can get sources. Again, competition is a good thing for the consumer. Okay. All right. Eduardo, who's based in Texas, he goes by Electronics Onsite. Great to see you. Eduardo was a gold member in my class, and he got a full refund. It's always good to see you. And Eduardo's son is, I think, second in the country now in Taekwondo, and he's going to proudly represent the United States in the Olympics. But Eduardo wrote, hey, Chris, glad to see you. Likewise. House prices are going down, and I'm in the market to flip houses. Are you going to add the real estate business module to your MBA? Yeah, we talk about real estate with respect to REITs, real estate investment trusts, in the MBA degree program. We also cover discounted cash flow in a lot of detail with financial models, which will help you in understanding cash flow when buying a place. We also talk about mortgages in the personal finance part of the MBA program. In terms of adding something more comprehensive, I will at some point. I've been focused mainly on adding the tech stuff for now. Now, when I do add the comprehensive real estate part to the MBA degree program, including a lot of tools that you can use to value real estate investments, when I do that, I'll let everybody know. Yeah. And I'll fly up to Canada, actually, to London, Ontario, with my film crew to film one of the places that I bought, just to make it more realistic and fun. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. And then Luca wrote, I'm really excited about ChatGPT 5 that might be released next year, mid-2024. Thank God you said that. I thought you were going to say it's released right soon and we have to re-record the whole course. And then you wrote, per Sam Altman, recent live event, he said that the new version, meaning ChatGPT 5, will be able to work with images, video, text, sound, etc. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. And in our complete artificial intelligence course coming out soon, we teach you how to use a DALL-E, which is part of ChatGPT for images. Yeah. And Midjourney as well. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. And then Luca said ChatGPT 5 will also be able to read your emotions if you give it the permission to do so. Wow. And OpenAI's team is currently working on something they call, and I can't wait to see what you write next. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. The future is now. It's incredible. Okay. All right. Let me see if I missed any questions here. Please type your questions if you guys have any. Thanks. Okay. All right. All right. Next up, Cluster Puff wrote, "Hey Chris, what do you think of ESG, meaning environmental social governance? It's a way of investing that is not mean, meaning you don't invest in companies that harm the earth from a pollution perspective or have bad HR policies." And you said, "What do you think of that? Is it politicized these days?" Thank you. Yeah. Well, I think it's the younger generation certainly agrees with that. I remember my son Matthew. When he was like 4, we were driving in my car and I was eating an apple and I threw it out the window. And he said to me, "Dad, don't be mean to the earth." I remember that, right? So it's the younger generation that is, kind of correcting the older generation to be more mindful of this sort of thing. But it's not only the younger generation that believes in ESG. I also believe in ESG, and I always have. Like, I'll never invest in marijuana companies. It's just me. Years ago, I was given, the opportunity to do so, private investments. I just can't do it. Just like I can't invest in Philip Morris or Altria, ticker, I think it's ticker MO, Philip Morris. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't. So I think it's a good thing, though. Yeah. All right. In terms of carbon offsets, there's something called carbon credits, and there's 2 major markets for it. One is in the United States, the other one is in Singapore. So what companies can do is, if they pollute, they can buy these carbon credits to offset their pollution, right? And so, and what you can do also is, if you don't pollute much at all, you get carbon credits from the government, and then you can sell them on the open market as well. It's a pretty liquid exchange. Yeah, that's a good thing. Okay. Next up, Gordon wrote, "A ChatGPT is not smart before now." Yeah, it's not smart than before now. Yeah, it's getting better. Yeah. All right, Nintendo, how are you? Good to see you. Great to see you. Okay. All right. Next up, Patricia wrote, "Chris, what jobs can we get after completing the MBA degree program? Will it be accepted in Canada like a college diploma?" So I've had students that have gotten jobs at all the top companies in the world, including Goldman Sachs and investment banking. I have a student of mine who he was in my platinum program last year, and halfway through the program, he got a job at Goldman Sachs as an investment banker in the same associate start class with Harvard MBA students. How did he do it? Part of it is based on the content I teach, but more importantly, it's based on the networking stuff I teach. And, I can take my students to the water. I can't force you to drink. And so if you use the networking best practices that I teach you, I promise you it will help. but you have to follow through with it. Yeah. I've had students also get jobs at, McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, list goes on and on and on. Yeah. Yeah. In terms of will it be accepted in Canada like a college diploma? So I don't believe you will get one of these, right? So it's a degree that I give you, but I'm not accredited. And if I were to be accredited, I'd have to listen to governments to telling me what I can and cannot teach. And that wouldn't help you. Plus the price would go up a lot as well. So for now, I'm not doing accreditation. Yeah. But I will tell you that with my MBA program, you've got a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee, which is not something that other universities offer. Yeah. Okay. And for more questions on the MBA, go to my website, harounmba.com, and there's an FAQ somewhere there. Yeah. Okay. Next up. Okay. And then we got Frenchie wrote, oh yeah, so Philip Morris, it is MO for Altria. You wrote, good morning, good afternoon, good to see you. PM is Philip Morris and MO is Altria. Okay, thank you for correcting me on that. I appreciate that. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, I don't see any more questions. I want to wish you all a happy rest of your day. God bless you. And I'll see my silver students at 10 a.m. today for my weekly office hours Zoom call. If you're a gold or platinum student, we have our call today at 11:20 a.m. And that's going to go from 11:20 until 1 p.m. I have to leave a little bit early for a doctor's appointment. All right, guys, God bless you. Have a great week. Please click like and subscribe as well. And thanks as always. you.